Hi, this is part one of the Olde Grainery. So what I have here is I purchased this grain bin from my sister and brother-in-law for $1. The Amish took it down, brought it over to my house, put it back together again. We had a 3-story barn here that we took down, so we used all the wood from the 3-story barn. I'm into antiques, so I have antique corbels. These cool doors I got off Marketplace. And there's more corbels. I love flowers. This is the wood that came from taking our barn down. And then this is larch lumber that's over here. And I decorated it with some antiques. It took about a year to work on this. I have antique lights up here on each side. And then I have an old well pulley. Whoop, the sun's sort of shining there. I have an old well pulley up there that I hooked an old bucket and put some flowers in there. So this is part one on the front part of my grain bin. Hi, this is part two of the Olde Grainery. So now I'm going to show you the inside of the grain bin. Come on in. So these are the steps that go up. The top part of the landing this is made out of our barn that we tore down, and the other part is larch. This is all larch lumber. We put French doors on the back. And up here I bought this windmill blade, this whole windmill from this guy in Pennsylvania, this farm. And so each section is 3 blades. So he told me he was missing a section. And so I said, send it anyway. So there's this guy that lives a couple towns over that actually copied a section. And it actually is hard to tell which one it is. So my carpenter, Ron Olde, I collected vintage oil funnels, and he turned them upside down, and we put lights in there. And I have an off and on switch, so I can go off, on, and we could do dim. Part 3 of the Olde Grainery. So I bought this stained glass window off Marketplace, and the guy shipped it to me. We were supposed to put it up above the doors, cut a hole and put it in, but we didn't have room. So I said to my carpenter, Ron Olde, I said, what if we take this barn door, you take the stained glass window, trace it, cut it out, mount the stained glass window in there, and put a light behind it. And look, I got the best carpenter in the whole wide world. He did it, and it came out so cool. And look, so I have the switch here, and I could turn it, look at, off, and it could go on. So it looks like it's from outside, the sun is shining, and it's not. So this actually worked out better, I think, than if it was on the outside, because it's just a big statement piece. And I love it. This is part 4 of the Olde Grainery. So this is up above the French doors for the top deck. We took barn wood from our barn that we tore down. We put that over the top of the door. And then when I went to Madison Buckfield last year, I bought these panels. There's 2 panels to a section. There's a round design and a square design to a panel. So I told Ron, what if you put a round panel on each end and then put the square one in the middle? So he did that. And then I had these corbels in my stash. I buy stuff not even knowing what I'm going to do with it, but I just put it in my barn. And so I had these cool corbels. So we put the tin up there, and look he even did the trim around the panels. He's like the best. And so now I got this really cool, just design, something, go find another one, right? So that's over the French doors. This is part 5 of the Olde Grainery, and this is the main floor. So I have antique cupboard, I got a leather couch. And then I took an old barn door and just hung a old horse collar on it. Had to get a stained glass light. And then we'll come around, and I had a wood burning stove. I do have a leak. I got a little bit of rust. I got to figure out where the leak is. And so I got my cowboy boots there, and then there's a quilt, and there's an antique table and chair, and then there's a ladder with some flowers, and then all this going down the stairs, this is all from my barn wood, that barn we took down. And there's this guy a couple houses or towns over that he has all this rusty stuff out in his backyard. So I got these cool wagon wheels, and we ended up putting on the wagon wheels on each side. So that's what the main floor looks like. This is part 6 of the Olde Grainery. I'm going to take you inside. I'm going to show you the back deck that we had built. So come on in. The back deck is it's built with all larch lumber, rough cut larch. It doesn't rot. I had the big beams put in here. I just wanted this country rustic vibe. And so I put, these are solar lights. I got sort of this country kind of rustic pillows with the chairs that you sit in. The table, the wood came from my 3-story barn that we tore down. The carpenter built it for me. And just sort of kept it simple, hung some ferns. Of course, the light, I never buy brand new. It's either flea market, garage sale, etc. And so I wanted it just to be cozy up here. So that's my campfire pit area. And then you can, I'm out in the country. I got goats and donkeys and sheep. And so you can just look out here, hear the birds sing. So anyways, this is my upper deck. And I'm very happy the way it came out.